Today, we are going to build the end frame at grid 1. Double-click on the 3D view screen to open the View Properties dialog box. Click Display button to open the Display dialog box. In order to make it easier and faster to handle the 3D model, we will reset the visibility and representation of model objects in the display settings. Select or clear check boxes to specify which objects are visible in the view. You can specify separately the object visibility for the objects in model and for objects in components. For these objects in this model, we should only keep parts, bolts, holes, welds, grid, and construction lines. For object in component, only keep part, bolts, holes and welds. Then click Modify to apply the changes. Now, we are going to copy the yellow construction line from grid 2 to grid 1. Select the yellow construction line on grid 2. Then right-click to open the pop-up menu. Select Copy Special, then Linear option. Pick grid 2, then pick grid 1 to indicate the direction. Click Copy. Now open the grid 1 view. Press Ctrl+I to open Views dialog box. Tekla structure lists all visible named views on the left, and all visible views on the right. Select grid 1 and click the right arrow. You can also double-click a view to open it. If the view does not appear, check how many views you already have open. To show the construction line, just open Display dialog box, select Construction line, then click Modify. We are going to offset the yellow construction line to the above side of itself, 150 mm. Select the construction line, then right-click to open the pop-up menu. On pop-up menu, select Copy. Pick any point above side of it, then right-click, select Perpendicular option on pop-up menu. Move the mouse cursor toward the construction line until the perpendicular symbol appear. Type 150, then press Enter. Let's change the copied construction line color to red. Now we are going to create a column at grid 1A. Press Ctrl+F to open the application and component dialog box. Then, search for S94 PEB tapered section. It creates a simple built-up beam or column between two pick point. The shape can be straight or tapered. Double-click to open tapered section dialog box. We are going to create a straight built-up column. The first tab is Picture tab. It defines dimension and the rotation. This one helps to define dimension. And this one helps to define rotation. Type 250 for column web dimensions at the top. Then type 250 for column web dimensions at the bottom. If you select this one, the column will be rotated. Now switch to the Parts tab. We use this tab to define part properties. Input thickness for the web. It's 4 mm. Then input the outer flange thickness. It is 5 mm. And the outer flange width is 135 mm. The inner flange thickness is 5 mm and its width is 135 mm. This is PO no option. It defines a prefix and starting number for the part position number. Enter the assembly position number on the second row. Next, we define the material grade. Then define the name that is shown in drawings and reports. Web for web, flange for both outer and inner flange. Finally is class number, to group the parts that the component creates. By default, the class number affects the color in which the part is shown in model views. Now give this setup a name, then save as. Now, pick the intersection between grid A and elevation plus 2000 for the first point. Then pick the second point. In order to make the web of the column in line with grid 1 plane. Now we are going to rotate it 90 degrees around Z-axis. Turn Select Components mode on. Select the column, then right-click to show pop-up menu. Select Move Special, then Rotate option. Pick the starting point of the column for origin point. Type 90 into angle box and then press Move. Now as you can see, the web of the column is in line with grid 1 plane. Next, we are going to move the column to the left 130 mm. Select column and right-click to open the pop-up menu. In the drop-down list, select Move Special, then Linear option. Pick any point on the screen for the origin. Then, press O key to turn the auto mode on. Move the mouse cursor to the left, then type 130 and hit Enter. Now we are going to move the starting point of the column up 62 mm. Make sure that the Select Component mode is on. Pick the column to highlight the handle point. Drag the mouse to select the yellow point. Right-click to open the pop-up menu. Select Move option on drop-down list. Pick any point on the screen for the origin. Make sure the auto mode is still on, then move the mouse cursor upward. Type 62, then press Enter. Now we are going to create a base plate connection for this column. We use the 1068 tapered column base plate. This component will create end plate, web stiffener, flange stiffener, anchor rods, extra plates connecting the anchor rods, bolts, welds. Type 1068 into Application and Components dialog box. Then double-click on Tapered Column Base Plate, 1068, component to open it up. The first tab is Picture tab. It defines the dimensions of the base plate and stiffeners, the location of the web stiffeners, and whether the column flange is fitted. This one is Dimensions option. And this is Flange Stiffener Shape. It includes default the line shape, square shape and no stiffener. Let's select the no stiffener option. Then select no stiffener option on the right, also. This one is end plate distance to the column flange. We put 10 mm. This one is web stiffener edge distance. This one is right end plate edge distance to the column flange. This option defines the flange cut from the base plate edge. The default value is 2 mm. We input 0 mm. This option is for column flange. We select column flange is perpendicular to column axis. This option is flange stiffener chamfer type. It includes default option, no chamfers, line chamfer, convex arc chamfer, concave arc chamfer. We select default option. This one is end plate offset from the main part bottom edge. Now switch to Parts tab to define the properties of the end plate, web stiffeners, and flange stiffener. Input 12 for end plate thickness and 165 for its width. Because we don't need web stiffener and flange stiffener, so enter 0 for its thickness and width. Next we input position number, which define prefix and start number for the part position number. And then select material grade. Then put the name that is shown in drawings and reports. Now switch to Bolt tab. We use Bolt tab to define the bolt properties, number of bolts and spacing. Select some basic properties first. It is bolt diameter 16 mm. Bolt standard, which is to be used inside the component. Then, bolt tolerance, its gap between the bolt and the hole. This one is top bolt edge distance. We type 32.5. And the bottom bolt edge distance is also 32.5. Number of bolt rows, 2. And bolt row spacing, 100 mm. This option is bolt's edge distance for bolt column, 90 mm. Number of bolt column, 2. And bolt column spacing, 100 mm. Now give this setup a name. Then save as. Turn the Select Object in Component mode on. Pick Web of the column. Then in order to pick the position, hold down Ctrl key, then pick the starting point of column. Move the mouse cursor downward. Then type 12 this. The base plate and 4 bolts have been created automatically. Click OK to turn off the dialog box.